On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, I welcome the candidates and audience to this community candidate forum for primary election for the Lakewood City Council Positions 1 and 3. I'm Lydia Zepeda, forum moderator. The League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County acknowledges that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, surrounded by their traditional waters in the shadow of Mount Tahoma. We actively seek inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and current realities. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization whose mission for the past 103 years has been to empower informed and active participation of citizens in government. Candidate forums are one of the many ways that we do this. For more information about us, go to our website at lwvtpc.org. That's lwvtpc.org. For primary elections, the League of Women Voters only does candidate forums where there are 3 or more candidates running for office. Since there are 3 or more candidates for positions 1 and 3, we invited all of these candidates to participate. The candidates in ballot order for Lakewood City Council positions number 1 and 3 are Ellen Talbo, Chaz Ames, Alice Fong, Mark Herr, and for position 3, Jennifer Lamari, Philip Lindholm, and Taylor Witt. Not all of the candidates, all the candidates were invited, not all of them will be attending tonight. The primary election is August 5th. If you're not registered or have moved, you may register to vote or change your address online at votewa.gov by Monday, July 28th. That's votewa.gov by Monday, July 28th. If you are registered as a voter and your address is correct, your ballot will be mailed out this Friday, July 18th. Ballots must be postmarked or placed in ballot drop box by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th. This forum is being recorded and will be posted at the League of Women Voters website, lwvtpc.org. Questions have been prepared by the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, and we'd like to invite audience questions via text to 253-439-9343. You can see that right on the bottom of the screen. Questions must be directed to all candidates and may be worded or consolidated. Our timekeeper today is Terry Baker of the League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County. I ask the candidates to please stand gallery view so you can see the timer. Candidates, please stop when the timer runs out. You may finish a short sentence if the timer runs out. Please don't talk unless it's your turn. Please mute yourself when it's not your turn to speak. A reminder that civility is expected. I ask each of you to confirm that you agree with our ground rules, which among other things include addressing the issues and not making personal attacks. Please confirm by giving me a thumbs up. I see thumbs up there. Thank you so much. Each candidate has 2 minutes for an opening statement. After that, each candidate will be asked the same question and the order of questions will rotate. At the end, each candidate can make a 1-minute closing statement. The order of the 2-minute opening statements for Lakewood Council positions 1 and 3 is in ballot order for candidates. And so for those who agreed to participate, we'll start with Ellen Talbo and then we'll go to Alice Fong. I will go ahead and ask Ellen Talbo to go ahead and give her 2-minute.
Sure. Thank you very much, and thank you, League of Women Voters, Pierce County, for inviting me today and hosting this forum. So good evening, everyone watching. My name is Ellen Talbo, and I am a born and bred Lakewooder, and I came up through and from Lakewood, through Dower, Cabrini, Lockburn, and Lakes, and I've lived through Lakewood's heyday, its waxes and wanes, and now I believe Lakewood is ready to turn the page. And I believe that turning the page calls for fresh leadership and keen perspective for what it takes to do 3 things and reinvigorate areas of the city and areas of the city that need it the most, build and sustain a well-trained safety force and police force to support our small businesses and our neighborhoods and residents. And the third, engage sincerely with our residents from all walks of life, especially when it comes to the most impactful decision making. And so combined of all that, that is why I'm running for Lakewood City Council Position 1, because I want to bring my experience in public service of 19 years, 12 in local government of that. And I want to bring my experience and motivation in public service to work for Lakewood so that we can work towards getting things done, and while especially being mindful and cognizant of the diverse communities that make up our beautiful city. Thank you very much. I look forward to a robust discussion.
Thank you. Alice Fong, your 2-minute statement, please.
I'm going to scoot forward so I can see the time clock. Hi, my name is Alice Fong. Thank you for the invitation to meet with you all today and organizing this forum. My name is Alice Fong, and I am running for Lakewood City Council Position 1. And I really don't like talking about myself. So usually I think about how people would describe me. And I would say that colleagues have really said that I have a can-do attitude. I do things with a smile on my face, and I am able to roll up my sleeves and get things done. And for me, I have grown up in South Tacoma, so I came to Lakewood to play at the town center and to hang out at the international area with the Koreatown and things like that. And now that I've moved to Lakewood, I have created roots. I want to create roots here, moving back moving back to King County. Pierce County, from King County. And so for me, I'm really looking at hearing about our residents and what I'd like to see in a community, which is that it's safe, that there are fun places for our community members to connect, and also to have supported local businesses. As a product of local small businesses, my parents had a Chinese restaurant. That's something that really helps create a strong economy and community. And I would like to be part of those solutions based on my 30 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, working with the government, businesses, faith organizations, all working together to create solutions. I'd like to bring that here to Lakewood. Thank you.
Thank you both. Now we come to the questions. Each candidate gets 90 seconds to answer each question. Again, the live audience can text questions to 253-439343, right there on the bottom of the screen. The candidate order will rotate for each question. So we'll start with Alice Fong for question number 1. First question is, what is your budget priority for the city of Lakewood, and how do you propose to pay for it? Alice Fong, please.
Thank you for the question. My background was in healthcare, and even my current role, I always like to look over the information. I am a scientist, so I gather all the data points to see what's going on, and also engage with community to find out what are those priorities. I know that there are plans for the council that the council put forth, and so being familiar with those things will help me inform where we can go from there. In terms of priorities, I think that there always needs to ensure that we have safe communities, so police and other programs that help create that, the neighborhood program that has been started, and we have all these different neighborhood associations. Those are things that we need more funding for and support for, and then also ensuring that, how do you fund these things? And I like to be creative. I've always worked with no budget, being in nonprofit, so looking at how we can look at maybe highlighting the tourist attraction of our Lakewood Garden and our events and our businesses to make this a place for people to come and spend their money and then leave so that we can enjoy each other's company here.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So working for a city, I currently work for the city of Renton in my day job, and I very well understand the challenges of working in a constrained budget, and balancing your expenditures to revenues, and tweaking and working with those ratios, especially on a 1 year or actually really 2 year biennial term. It really takes a lot of planning ahead and strong prioritizing in place. For me, what I would like to see and what I would like to do as an elected is first look at the balance, how balanced is budget spending in the first place, and are there areas where the budget is where we are not overspending, but where we are stressed or induced to spend in other areas, such to the point that areas like parks or housing or medical care are not getting resources. And so my first priority would be to look at the balance between the two and ensure that we are sourced with the proper revenues to meet the needs and expenditures that we're trying to meet.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ellen Talbo. What are your priorities for further development for Lakewood? Speak specifically about the comprehensive plan for Lakewood and the Growth Management Act. Ellen Talbo, please.
Thank you. Priorities for Lakewood right now, I think, what I have been, at least my work on the Planning Commission, we have been working towards updating our comprehensive plan. And what we did in that update was we added 4 additional new areas where that we hadn't acknowledged before. And so one of those areas was climate action and planning for climate action change, but also Lakewood has long time kind of struggled in a sense to attract and sustain vibrant development that promotes and encourages destinationship. And Lakewood is still, I think, hungry for that. At the same time, there's also a very strong need for strong community spaces, particularly a need for a community center, really, or a multi-generational center. And so these are areas where Lakewood's going to have to make some important and likely hard decisions about how to balance the priorities here. My intent and desire is to see that when we plan for new housing, affordable or not, market rate, but when we plan for housing, that we're doing it responsibly, that we're managing growth, that we're managing growth and density in areas that they're already zoned for, and that we're also meeting needs of the communities, especially community centers that serve everybody and not just a section of town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alice Fong, what are your priorities for further development for Lakewood, and speak specifically about the comprehensive plan and growth management?
Thank you. Yes, I was part of, I'm not on the Planning Commission, but because I'm part of other groups within Lakewood, I was able to learn a little bit about that and provide input. And yes, when we want to have a thriving community, it is about making sure that we have housing, we have places where we can connect, like the community center, community gathering spaces, being able to ensure that we can be a place where we can generate revenue, and whatever that could be, it could be, help bolstering up our small businesses and other activities that we have, our arts scene that we have, and our parks. And so for me, I think that it's important to prioritize this and know that we can't do everything all at once. And so I'm a creative strategist, and we have to we prioritize things, and then it doesn't mean that we deprioritize and we're not going to work on other things, but we have it in our mindset so that we can do bite-sized chunks and be able to accomplish things. And so with that, I think that housing is very important, and being able to have it so that it's environmentally sound, that we're not knocking down all of our trees, so that we're having challenges with that. And then also making sure that different communities have the resources to thrive.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Alice Fong, and this is an audience question. How do you evaluate this current state of policing in Lakewood? Do you support reforms or changes? Alice Fong, please.
Yes, I think that it's important to think about the definition of reform and what kind of reform is needed. And with that, I am a person who likes it takes a village to raise a child kind of a mentality and have really strong connections. And so being able to support our police so that they feel resourced, have funding, have the tools, have the connection with community, so that we see us as a whole and not as us versus them, I think is very important. And so that would be looking at what can we do to help create those relationships between the community and police, resolve any challenges that there might be. Some of the work that I do is on restoring relationships and healing. And so my mindset and my lens is towards that. How do you restore, how do you be restorative and be able to accomplish, the goals that we need to have at hand? Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo.
Thank you. Well, I do strongly believe that true public safety means that every business and neighbor feels secure and supported in their daily life. And that really does also mean not only in responsible, accountable policing, but also in the services, infrastructure, and partnerships that prevent harm before it happens. As I was speaking a little bit earlier, it would be important for me to look at the resources and the way that we provide them and the way that we fund I think the amount that we are funding. Lakewood right now currently spends 60% of its 2-year biennial budget on policing. And so that means that if there is a sentiment out there that feels that we need more, that we need to spend more and that we're not spending enough, that means that we're cutting short other funding to other areas that really need it to really hit at preventing the root causes of crime, such as stronger parks, community spaces, safer streets, and etc. And so I just want to make sure that when we're making decisions about funding for policing, in many ways, I think we are getting some things right. We've done some community-based activities that we haven't done in a while. So that deserves acknowledgement. But going forward, I would like to see that we are balancing our resources appropriately to prevent the true causes of crime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question, we'll start with Ellen Talbo. And the Lakewood Council has been grappling with homelessness, including exploring options for shelter and addressing public camping. So the question is, what is your plan to address the needs of those who are unhoused in Lakewood? Ellen Talbo, please.
Yeah, I think what I have been seeing and experiencing as I'm talking to people out there is that even with new state laws that mandate more affordable housing, that the housing that we get may or may not be affordable. And really, if it is affordable, it's affordable for a very small slice of income bands of the average median income. And so the lowest, the most vulnerable, and the most in need of housing that is truly affordable to them often gets left out of the equation. So I would like to see Lakewood make some stronger strides to that when we are planning for economic development and when we are you know patting ourselves on the back or congratulating ourselves for working on affordable housing, that we're really the most cognizant and most mindful of the lowest areas of the bands that are truly the most vulnerable. And so part of that is also providing and making sure that we are extending access to medical care and health care where it's, excuse me, mental health care where it's especially needed among some of these struggling populations.
Thank you. Alice Fong, what is your plan to address those who are unhoused in Lakewood?
Yes, thank you so much. For me, I look at things in as a problem solver and in a pragmatic way, trying to think about, we do have to think about how do we ensure that we have some systems and resources to help families and individuals stay in housing so that we don't create and, inadvertently create new ones. And then for the people who are unhoused, look at, really, I think, I've worked at United Way of King County and I've been in those spaces. And so knowing that it's so complex of how people get to be unhoused, and then what are all the things that are needed to help the person who is unhoused, if they want it, to cycle out of that. And I think it's it needs to be a very holistic plan that our whole community needs to come together and work on, because each one of us has a piece of the puzzle, and then being able to find out, what we have so that we're able to help our unhoused neighbors to be housed. And in terms of the housing, making sure that we are able to have low income housing that people can actually pay for. And that's something that we can think about being more creative about, and work together to create those solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Alice Fong, and this is an audience question. Seattle is considering a model of permanently affordable housing for low and middle income families. What do you think of this approach to ensuring affordable housing, or do you have another plan? Alice Fong.
I think as leaders, we're always looked to have a plan. And for me, I think that the plan is in the community. We have to work with our stakeholders, and we have to work with the people who are closest to this work, so that we can come up with solutions, multiple solutions, because it's not a cookie cutter. The housing insecurities, food insecurities, these things are complex. And so to have really good sustainable outcomes and responses would be something that we have to kind of think through thoroughly, and mindfully, so that it's not just a quick, let's band-aid this and solve this issue. Working at United Way of King County, we were like, hey, we're going to solve homelessness in 10 years. And we can see that in King County, it's actually grown. My friends were part of the count. And every year it was just higher and higher of people who are experiencing homelessness. So in this plan, it's really thinking of a strategy to really pause a little bit and just say, okay, what are all of the things? What are all of our resources? And put our heads together to be able to come up with a solution that fits Lakewood and Pierce County.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo.
Yeah, thank you. I do believe that that trying to solve the puzzle of housing is an ongoing challenge. And I think that there are cities that do things robustly and aggressively, but I also haven't seen cities get it perfectly right, because it is a challenge. I think that permanent housing in Lakewood, definitely needs to be examined to the extent that there's an operating and a maintenance cost of operating and maintaining permanent housing, so that it is successful, so that it is affordable, and so that it is helping residents promote into upward mobility. So there is work in that, and that needs to be acknowledged and mindful if that's the route that Lakewood should go. I think that there are things on the demand side of housing. Certainly Lakewood has been taking a crack at the supply side, but on the demand side, we should be trying to encourage lower, renters to seek financial sources to move into housing when they can. We should be trying to help vulnerable populations seek better upward mobility as we can to improve their living situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ellen Talbo. And what do you propose that the city of Lakewood should do to address climate-induced disasters, things like fire, flood, storms, and smoke?
Thank you for asking that, especially coming off the edges of the 4th of July here. I think what I experienced just being out in the community before and after the 4th of July and talking with owners about the seriousness of the risks that they to their home and to their property, to their animals, and to their environment. That fire is a real thing. Last year, Lakewood witnessed a huge brush fire that consumed, almost several hundred acres in the course of minutes. And things like that, Lakewood hasn't witnessed before, but that's where we are now because drought conditions are so tough. And so I think that, so for example, I guess I'm not picking on the 4th of July because I'm a patriot myself, but we need to be cognizant that when we are allowing for fireworks policies and things like that, that we are absolutely supportive of entities like our police and West Pierce Fire that are already inundated, responding to cities with bans, and so that we are promoting healthy and proactive and protective activities that don't pose threats to the environment, especially when it requires limited resources to begin with.
Thank you. Alice Fong, what do you propose the city of Lakewood should do to address climate-induced disasters?
Yes, thank you for that. I actually, in my young adult life, volunteered for the American Red Cross and was very interested in emergency management. And where I lived prior to here was involved in that as well. And in the past few years have been appointed to the governor's public health advisory board and co-chaired that. And I'm now, past co-chair. And one of the things that we've talked about in some of the meetings that I've been involved in and tabletop discussions, both locally and regionally and state, is how do we prepare for these things? And for me, I lived in a city where we did that. We worked with community to think about planning for the natural disasters. And sometimes it's just, it's like growing up, we had those drills and we practice those drills because it's muscle memory. And so I would like to see us find ways to have that. We are in a subduction zone, so we're going to someday, maybe not in our generation, but in future generations, or yet tomorrow, as my grandfather, adopted grandfather, is a geologist, and it could happen. And so we really don't have that preparation. And so I think that needs to happen as well. And then the connections with forestry experts to ensure that our forests are safe and resistant to fires.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Alice Fong. According to the US Census, almost 1 in 6 residents of Lakewood are foreign-born, and nearly 1 in 4 residents of Lakewood speak a language other than English at home. So the question is, what is your plan to ensure that city services and city government are accessible to those for whom English is not their first language? Alice Fong, please.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I currently chair the Pierce County Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs, and those are always topics of discussion. And of course, my career in nonprofit and community engagement and building is about how do we ensure that we build a whole in Pierce County, a whole Pierce County that we're all engaging with each other. And then here in Lakewood, how do we ensure that we have the services and connections. And so not only is it about looking at the language, it's also cultural and cultural in access to our services. It could be ensuring that we have some language access, that we have more classes, and help promote the English as a second language classes that the colleges provide, both Pierce and Clover Park. And also a great way to build community is to connect the folks who are speak English with the folks who do not, so that we actually, as we are learning from each other, we can bring our cultures and our community together. And so, as a local expert on volunteer engagement, when I was at United Way, I look at this as an opportunity to further strengthen and connect our communities, and thus making it even safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen Talbo.
Thank you. Yeah, I do strongly believe that access to language and reducing language barriers is critical, especially in Lakewood. In my day job, I currently work on Title VI, our city's Title VI plan, and that is Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which seeks to ensure that public services are free of discrimination. And so I would like to see Lakewood and make sure that it has its Title VI plan updated, but also goes beyond the minimum ways of following the law. I have, in my time on the Planning Commission, I have advocated and spoken out for providing multi-language translation services for permits and our permit system, so that our building and construction trades who are bilingual can access permit resources and information in the common languages commonly spoken here in Lakewood, and not just our permit areas, but our public services in general. I'd like to work with the school district where possible and our youth council where possible to help our school district, recruit and attract and sustain bilingual mentors and teachers in the classroom, because I think that helps in where it's needed, especially with our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ellen Talbo. What directives would you recommend the council issue to the Lakewood Police to ensure that state law is followed regarding ICE and to protect our neighbors' civil rights? Ellen Talbot, please.
Well, definitely the Lakewood Police Department needs to follow state law, and currently state law does not, state law ensures that we do not cooperate with ICE, and so that needs to be strictly reinforced with our PD. And as I think that we need that transparency and accountability from our police force, and upholding the law and following the law. That needs to also be transparent to, I think, residents, and helping to sustain and build community trust. And I think that ultimately, I think our PD, it needs to be, if there are areas where where the parts of the community feel violated in their trust, then that needs to be worked through, especially with city management, Lakewood officials, and police force officials, and our council, to ensure that we are not inundating our residents with unnecessary and illegal treatment.
Thank you.
Of their civil rights. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. I thought you were done. Alice Fong, please.
Oh, can you repeat? Can you
Absolutely.
repeat?
What directives would you recommend council issue to the Lakewood Police to ensure the state law is followed regarding ICE and to protect our neighbors' civil rights?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Being on the commission for refugee and immigrant affairs, and working, statewide with community groups and lawyers who are making sure that we uphold our law of keep Washington working, and also knowing that this can also be an excuse to harass people who are even citizens. And we've seen this happen with our history, where our Japanese members of our community were just picked up and removed. So knowing that these behaviors exist, I think that for council to really not just uphold a proclamation or something to say, hey, we're going to follow Keep Washington working in state law, and we don't want to further utilize our resources, limited resources, to help federal when federal has their own resources. We want to take this as an opportunity to build some stronger connections with our whole community and understand, what the situations are, and help educate people and work with the school district and other entities here to find those solutions.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Alice Fong. How do you propose to address congestion, aggressive driving, and speeding in Lakewood?
Yes. I think that there are, I'm a person who is about building connections and relations with each other. And as somebody who did cardiac rehab for my heart patients, stress management and helping us to find ways to healthily manage our emotions. And I taught the stress management class to my patients for several years that I'm in this role. And it even helped me, so that I went from a type A to more of a type B person when I'm behind the wheel sometimes. And so I believe that there are ways that we, sometimes we think about having speed bumps, and I know we have the traffic circles, and it has, help. And then it's also, how do we create more, and this goes with planning, more things that kind of sets the mood for people to have this calmness. And I think that's when we can create and extend, some of these festivals that we have, like Summerfest, that's going to happen this Saturday. Opportunities to get people to just, learn more calming methods to better manage themselves, so that we won't have as much road rage.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo, please.
Thank you. Do you mind repeating the question one more time?
Absolutely. How do you propose to address congestion, aggressive driving, and speeding in Lakewood?
Thank you. Yeah, so especially in terms of speeding and aggressive driving, I firsthand work with Vision Zero, or sometimes it's known as Target Zero, and this is a paradigm shift, if you will, in many respects, for not only law enforcement but also planning and engineering. It's a way to combine the realms of these areas among others in public safety, and cross them with education, awareness, and other areas to get to solutions that provide for safer streets in general, and safer streets being because they are slower, they are livable, they accommodate for all modes, not just cars, and they are accessible for everybody, whether you're mobility impaired or a family or not, or a family with children, or an individual. And so in my work, I think I would definitely like to see Lakewood come up with a Vision Zero program. I think Lakewood deserves acknowledgement because they are in the right stages. They have just recently applied for federal funding to institute a Vision Zero plan. And I think that this is the right track and where we need to continue to follow to go so that we can ensure that we are providing safer streets and slower streets.
Thank you. Next question is an audience question, and we'll start with Ellen Talbo. What is your vision for the Lakewood Town Center? What do you want this to look like in a decade? Ellen Talbo.
Thank you for asking that question. The Lakewood Town Center itself is part of a much larger downtown that I'm not sure people are aware of that includes areas including like the Big Lots shopping area and stretches all the way over to the parts of the Colonial Center. And that in and of itself is a very large downtown in my view. And so my vision for downtown is one that for the town center is one that cohesively fits not just in a working downtown so that all of those areas so that all one downtown is walkable. And that means that there is a clear, cohesive plan that connects not only the downtown into of itself, but also throughout and serves the rest of the city because that's what it should do. And so what I would like to see is I I don't mind seeing a mix of housing and commercial uses in downtown, but I would like to see some spaces opened up, especially I would like to see some sincere investment in renovating the Gottschalk's pad or at least activating it for an interim period of time so that there's activities there so that it's not just a stagnant concrete jungle, that there really needs to be some serious engagement and investment in one parcel that connects to a broader plan that has a mix of uses that is cohesive within a broader, bigger bird's eye view of a larger downtown.
Thank you. Alice Fong.
Thank you. Yes, I have had many conversations with folks and also observed, people as they shared what they envision what downtown is. My vision for downtown would be to ensure that it's going to be an environmentally sustainable area, and that we definitely want to have more trees as our climate gets hotter, we're going to need to think about how do we combat that. And with that, it is looking at, having more trees that are there. So I definitely like trees, and I think that's really important that we think about our environment into this plan. And then secondly, is thinking about, the businesses, parks, green space. And I really believe when you're thinking about the road rage question, when we have more green spaces and people, it's calming, more flowers, those are things that help calm people and be proud of the area, their walkability, being able to go and enjoy the spaces with their families. And so I really want to see, those pieces there and really bring in, experts who have created downtowns that are walkable, livable, and help create that sense of community and calmness. And I've seen that in other cities do that, and I'd like to bring that to here.
Thank you. Yes, next question. We will start with Alice Fong. What are your public transit priorities for Lakewood, and how do you propose to achieve them? Alice Fong.
Wow. So I chair the Lakewood Promise Advisory Board, which is the board that supports our young people and making sure that they have safe communities, health, education, transportation, and adults who care. And one of the things that was huge is transportation because our young people can't get from one place to another, and that there's a lot of opportunities for growth for how we connect our public transportation and make it so that it's something that people can use. And we spoke to the Tillicum Woodbrook community, and they're just pretty cut off from the rest of Lakewood. And so I'd love to be able to have bring all the stakeholders together and think about, what is working, what is not working, what are the needs, where do people want to go to, and then work with Pierce Transit to create those solutions so that we can have a more public transit friendly place. Right now, it's really great if you want to go, you can get to the town center or the other a station to go up and down, I-5. But in terms of moving around within the city, I think we have a lot of opportunities to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think that there are some basic some service planning issues to work out and to work through when it comes to public transit service in Lakewood, particularly Pierce Transit. And that's not a knock on them at all. In fact, it's an acknowledgement that they have a challenge, because not only are they Lakewood's transit provider, they are Tacoma and the rest of Pierce County's transit provider as well. And that that places huge demands on them, especially when there are service areas that have higher ridership. It makes it harder to improve service in outer line areas like Lakewood. And so what I would like to see is, and what I'd like to do if elected, is work with Pierce Transit to work through some of these basic service planning areas, so that issues such as frequency and reliability, so that we can ensure that, Tillicum, for example, yes, it is out there all alone on one route, but it's also on a route that makes a huge number of stops between Springbrook and downtown. And so when that route is stuck in congested conditions on I-5, it's just all that much harder, especially for those residents that are already exacerbated for mobility and transportation resources. So I'd like to work. So my transit priorities in Lakewood would be to continue to work with Pierce Transit on smoothing out some of the service planning issues,
Thank you.
first and foremost, and then there's a host of others as well that 2 minutes can't afford. So.
Sorry. So we've come to our last question, and we will start with Ellen Talbo in this one. How do you propose to involve Lakewood's residents in the city's decision-making process? Ellen Talbo.
Yeah, well, one thing that Lakewood has never attempted or shown interest in doing is participatory budgeting. And I really admire cities that take that on, because it's not easy, number one, and to be willing to be so transparent with resources, and also be patient and communicative with residents about their questions. That they have about the process, and educating residents. But that's exactly why the process is, I think, productive, is because it helps residents understand what they pay for, how they pay for it, where their tax dollars go, where their and how their services are returned, where there's needs, and it helps, I think, provide clarity and transparency when it's easy to get other views or misconstrued information from forums like Facebook or others that are just not at the heart of it. So I do believe that participatory budgeting would be productive and refreshing for Lakewood to take on. I also believe in forums and community one-on-ones and town halls and those types of settings that allow communities to come out in a space that's safe, rather than just show up at a city hall for a 3-minute comment.
Thank you. Alice Fong, how do you propose to involve Lakewood's residents in the city's decision-making process?
Thank you for that question. I would say that involving stakeholders has been one of my strategies my whole career in my 30 years, and also in my day job at CEL. It is the type of approach that we teach in our leadership cultivation, and so it is. It will take longer, it takes more money, and I believe that the solutions and the outcomes are better when we always engage with the community and the stakeholders in these conversations. And so for me, I would really encourage that. And so I spoke about being on the Public Health Advisory Board, and we were charged by the legislature to come up with recommendations for how we resolve, how we address, a future pandemic or other emergent calamities. And so I encouraged our board to engage with our stakeholders, and that's what we did. And when we created and checked in with our results, and we went and presented back out to the community through the state stakeholders, people were nodding and they felt like they were heard, and we had a much better product. And so I wholeheartedly believe that it is about going to the people and having these questions answered and created together.
Thank you. Now it's time for closing statements. Each candidate has a minute for their closing statement. We'll change the order, so we'll start with Alice Fong.
Oh, this has been like a battery of questions. Yes, I would say that I have I'm a creative strategist. I am a listener, and so I really do take that seriously when I make my decisions. And it's something that is ingrained in how I make all of my decisions, and it informs, I believe, it helps me make better decisions in that way. And so I'm somebody who is going to work with you, whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me, or you said that I was, whatever it is, and it is because when we are elected leaders, we're serving the whole community, and we're ensuring that all the voices are heard. And last night I handed one of my signs to my neighbor, and he thanked me for running, and he said that I'm a people person, and I'm a person, a leader from the people. And I think that's the voice that needs to happen and needs to be at the council level too. Thank you for considering Alice Fong as your next position 1 Lakewood City Council member.
Thank you. Ellen Talbo, your 1 minute statement.
Sure. Well, thank you very much again to the League of Women Voters for inviting me. I guess if there's anything that I didn't get to divulge about myself, it's just a little bit about my background. I am a trained urban and transportation planner, and I chose urban planning specifically, I think, because of my experience and upbringing in Lakewood. Urban planning is about trying to improve community spaces and build community spaces at a physical sense, but also engaging and building on community in and of itself. And that drew me in, and that interests me, because growing up here, when you feeling like there's never enough to do, or there's nothing for young people to do, or what there should be more parks. I mean, that is what influenced me. Not only those are the getting to those solutions and being in community. That's what influences me in my day job. And so as a professional, I want to bring my experience to the community, and as a leader for my own community, not just for my day job. So with that, thank you very much once again. And please feel free to reach out and contact me at www.electellentalbo.com, and you can contact me there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. In ballot order, the candidates for Lakewood City Council positions 1 and 3 are: for position 1, Ellen Talbo, Chaz Ames, Alice Fong, and Mark Herr. Position 3, Jennifer Lamari, Philip Lindholm, and Taylor Witt. All of the candidates were invited to participate in this forum. So I'd really like to thank the candidates who made it here tonight. So thank you very much for being here. And I want to also thank the timekeeper, Terry Baker, and the Tacoma-Pierce County League of Women Voters. You can see other League of Women Voter candidate forums at lwvtpc.org. That's lwvtpc.org. Read your voter's pamphlet, read the candidates' websites, and do everything you can to be an educated voter. Your ballot is being mailed out on Friday, July 18th. So don't forget to vote before August 5th. Thank you everyone for being here and have a very good evening. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.